the body needs to start. So if you're not doing anything, you got to do something very simple. You just got to do a little bit more. And when it comes to exercise, there's really 3 types of exercise. There is cardiovascular conditioning, that's challenging your heart and lungs. There's resistance or strength training, which is challenging your muscles mainly and your circulation. And then there's mobility and structural balance. And that's important too. So you would prevent injuries. You don't want to get too stiff or anything from that. But the balance of those 3, if any 3 of those are missing, your results are going to be limited at best every time.
So you need all 3.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. Like say like your goal is energy. People don't talk about this. You're trying to tell you take some pill, like take this because you can sell the hell out of those things, right? You make a lot of money. But no one's telling you this. This is really simple. So this is just physiology 101. Muscle is the physical location in the body where fat is burned. Inside the muscle is the actual furnace. That is a mitochondria. That is where you produce ATP. ATP is energy. It's voltage, right?
Right.
And so the more muscle you have, the more voltage you have in your body. The higher the voltage, the stronger your immune function. Now, your goal of your body is always one thing. It's survival. It doesn't care what you look like. So a priority of having a 6-pack is not a priority of the body. It's like, oh, your immune system's low? All right, you could get sick. We need to work on that.
Right.
It's never, hey, let's work on your biceps. Your immune system, your voltage has to be high. And when it's high, then you can add muscle. Then you can burn fat. But what's happening with a lot of people is they're not doing resistance training. So if you don't do resistance training, you're going to lose muscle at some point. If you just diet and don't challenge your muscles, you lose muscle. So you have less voltage, you have less mitochondria. When you lift weights, you build muscle. When you do cardiovascular conditioning that's challenging, you build more mitochondria within that muscle, more factories, not just to burn fat, but to produce ATP. And there is no pill, there's no supplement that does that like that. Even if someone took steroids, you don't build muscle without training. Like people are like, oh, he's a cheater, he took steroids. And I'm like, you should watch them train and eat. They are committed. They're just a little overcommitted, right? But that's really important. So people come out and do too much. So if you haven't been lifting weights, a simple program could be, I create something called the 7-day challenge. We can refer people to that. If they haven't done anything, it's a great place to start.
And that's great for everybody. Yeah. You got to start somewhere.
Right.
I used to think that you had to stay in the gym for hours. And now we train and it's like 20 minutes. Here's
the thing. So, when you train professional athletes, that becomes the model because everyone wants to train professional athletes. Now, people are not professional athletes. Professional athletes train, hang out, eat, get massages, go to sleep. Now, if you're an achiever, you are using your brain a lot. That's a stress too. There's a mental stress level. And so what you want to do, if you train for an hour, at the end of that workout, intensely for an hour, your testosterone levels will be low, your cortisol levels will be high. And there's some things you can do to flip-flop that. But what's important is like, why would you take it to that point? You're only as good as what your body can recover from. So at 20 minutes or 30 minutes in a workout in that window of intense training, testosterone levels are high, cortisol levels are low. So that's the best ratio.
Okay.
From that, when you're done, you feel really good. You're in a peak state.
Right.
You can go crush it the rest of the day.
Right.
Now, if you go to the point where I take a professional athlete, they don't feel great the rest of the day.
Right.
They're not crushing the rest of the day. The whole point of training is to improve every other area of your life. So why would you go to the point where you're now grouchy or you're hungry or you're sore, you don't feel good, and then you're treating your spouse poorly, you're treating your kids poorly, you're treating your coworkers poorly, you're not able to lead your organization or whatever you do. So training a non-athlete is different than training a professional athlete.
That's why maybe you train Tony a little differently than you train Sage and I, for example. And Sage Robbins had to just walk in the room.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I just want to start by saying these are two of my dearest and most beloved friends on the planet, Billy, Beck, and Mary B. I thought I'd just jump in and share my own experience. Over this last year, I had some health challenges, and I had to take a look at myself and do an inventory of what I wasn't doing. And I had prayer and meditation down pat, but I really didn't have an exercise structure. And I might have done things spontaneously at times, but I had no consistency. And Billy brought training to life for me, and you made it fun. And, our life is really big, and we're traveling on many different time zones and so forth. And my story at that time was I couldn't fit a consistent workout schedule in. And Billy came up with a system called micro workouts. And what's so amazing is through working out, if I felt I didn't have time my commitment was if Billy ever said, hey, do you want to work out? I'll always say yes. And so after this past year of saying yes, he's completely just revolutionized my body. And I can't believe the strength that I'm gaining. I call them my baby muscles. They're not quite there yet. But what's so beautiful is just through his insight and brilliance, and as well just having a structure that I was able to adapt and fit into my world. I've had consistency. And with that consistency, I used to go up to the gym, and in my mind, I'd be thinking like, oh, I have to go work out. And now I look forward to it because it's about my own well-being. It's about revitalizing my health. I remember as a younger woman, I used to always want to exercise, and I'd be trying to lose 5 or 10 pounds, but it was an outside game at that time. And at this stage, there's no relevance to that. It's all just about, me being the best self that I can be. And Billy Beck, thank you, because I would never be where I am today without him. And anyways, I just wanted to pop in and say hello and share my quick testimony because it's so dear to me. And besides, I have the privilege to travel the world with these two. And they're our chosen family and my most beloved friends. So anyways, thank you. And I hope you guys are enjoying this, and God bless.
Sage Robbins, ladies and gentlemen.
Da, 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 da.
Baby biceps and all.
She's always flexing.
She is always flexing, isn't she? Okay, Billy, there's a lot of misperceptions and things that people are still believing that's not really true anymore. What other things would you say are like myths that people are still living by and you'd like to bust for us today?
Just because of the time of year, I think it'd be really important to talk about no pain, no gain. Most people watch Rocky IV and they see Sylvester Stallone running up a mountain with snow with a log on his back, and they're like, oh, that's how I have to train. And it's way too much for them. So the goal is to challenge the body. That's important because if you don't challenge it, it won't change. But you want to stimulate it, not annihilate it. So you got to know where you're at. So if you haven't been doing anything, you just got to do a little bit and gradually progress from that. And each workout should be challenging. And there's an acronym. I taught you this, the BOSS principle.
I love it.
Yeah,
Tell them what BOSS is.
Like, how do you know if your workout's working? So BOSS, like BOSS, the first thing is if any of these things are happening, that means the body's being challenged to a point. So B stands for burning. So if you're building up that burning sensation, something good's happening. You're producing more nitric oxide, something metabolically will change and good things will occur.
Okay.
Makes you healthier too. And then the O is out of breath. If you're out of breath, you're challenging your lungs.
That's a good thing if you're a little winded.
Exactly. You should be. You shouldn't be at the point where you're vomiting or anything like that. But hey, more power to you.
Heavy breathing.
Yep. And then S would be the sweat. So if you're sweating, that means you're challenging your body point. You're flexing enough muscles are contracting. Byproduct is heat. And then to cool your body down, you start to sweat. And then the last S is struggle. You got to struggle a little bit. If you're just like 9, 10, and it's like it was easy breezy.
Nope.
Nothing's happening.
What else? How about